In a typical year, how many students do you help?
Last year we had 2,587 referrals total.
What are the trends that you're seeing? Like, what are you seeing that students that are, like you said, 18 to 22, and then your grad students are older, and that's a significant portion of your population. But what
Mhm.
what is it that they're struggling with? What are you seeing?
Yeah, first and foremost, for sure, anxiety. Anxiety and stress is our highest referral reason, and then depression would be our second. We used to have those combined when tracking referrals, but now we have them separated, and anxiety is definitely higher, and then depression, and then honestly, academic concerns. Coming out of the pandemic and COVID, students have really struggled with academic fortitude and stick to itiveness. I know that's not really a word, but academics has been difficult for students. And then our last one that we see often is death of a family member or a friend. We have just seen a drastic increase in students experiencing death of a family member or a close friend.
Are you finding that it's working? Like, do your students rely on past experiences, or is everything new to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that this generation of students have been raised with parents who have tried to protect them from lots of things. And so, rather than allowing students to experience hard things, we have kind of bubble wrapped them for 18 years. And then they come to college and remove the bubble wrap, remove the supports, and remove everything. And the students are like, wait, I can't do this. So I think that we're seeing less resiliency in this generation, which is why, I think it's because of the environment. I think our culture, we're just more fearful. We're more educated about things that can happen. Things are just different than they used to be. They have the world literally at their fingertips on their phone. And, I was thinking the other day, even these students have never not had someone taking a picture of them all the time. All the time. Someone is taking a picture, wanting to document, and that they're just living kind of out in the open, and have been. But then there's this really, I would say there is a common thread of fear throughout the entire thing, and it's throughout our entire culture that kind of creates this anxiety, this lack of resilience, this inability to make decisions. And so that's what we're trying to combat with this resiliency class.
Did the pandemic have any effect? Or is the pandemic simply being used as an excuse? Because I keep hearing it over and over as a reason. There's a piece of me that wonders, is this really the pandemic, or is this just an excuse?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a both. I don't think it's an excuse. So I do think that it had an effect for sure. If you think about students from all over the place, some were literally at home for a year and a half, some were home for half a year, some were in masks, everything got switched and turned upside down. And so I think if you think about people who are just moving right along, and then their whole entire world gets stopped, and then you don't know what kind of home environment they're going to, you don't know what kind of educational environment they're going to. And so for at least 2 years, I would say the world, was in complete disarray. But if you have a generation who is already wired to be a little bit less resilient and not be able to do hard things, and have family who is bubble wrapping them, and then they are given this entire world shift, not just a worldview shift, but literally everything about their day in and day out has completely shifted. That's going to create some turbulence, right, in someone's life. It just is. I mean, including us. I do think, though, that the students' ability to bounce back or inability to bounce back, their inability is greater because of the ways that they have been raised, phones at their fingertips, parents coddling them, taking care of them. The world is just a more fragile place.